Hi guys, we're going to have the class of today, which is systems of equations using the substitution method. What is this all about? Let's say that we have two numbers, x and y, and then when you add them it gives us 20. And you may be telling me, teacher, why so much hassle? It's just 10 and 10. Because 10 plus 10 gives us 20. Well, that's a great observation. But on the other equation it says that when you double the other number, 2 times 10, because we say, oh teacher, it's going to be 10 and this one is also going to be 10. But over here in this equation it says that you have again the 10, which is the x, but then the other number, it's going to be the double of y, which you're saying that is going to be 20. If this is 10, the double of y, double of 10 is going to be 20, and 10 plus 20, it's not 25, so it can't be 10. What are going to be those two numbers? The sum of two numbers is 20. That's what this expression is telling you, but this is going to be in English. And then the other one, it says when you sum the first one plus the double of the second, we get 25. What are those two numbers? Well, how do we solve it? How do we come about getting the result of x and y for this problem? So the whole point is going to be to get x equals something, and then y equals something else. Well, that's going to be the whole problem. We used to just get the value of x, but now we're going to get also another value, which is going to be y. And as you can see, when you have two unknowns, which is x and y, you got to have two equations because it's not enough just to have one of them. Alright, let's start. What do? We got to do some algebra, of course, and the first step is going to be to clear for x. And this is my first equation that I get, and I'm going to clear this one for x. As you can see, there's a y right here, which is being added, so we got to pass it over here as a subtraction. That's what I have right there. Okay, that's my first step. It's very easy. This y is being added. I don't want it there. I'm going to pass it as a subtraction. And then over here, then my next step is going to be the following. I'm going to be substituting, and that's why this method is called substitution, because I'm going to be doing a lot of substitutions all throughout the process, and I'm going to start with some substitutions. Alright, so I'm going to take the second equation, it's right here, and then I highlighted the x, which is this one, this x here on the second equation, x plus 2y equals 25, it's right here, what I have right here, and then I'm going to focus on the x. Okay, this x right there. So we know that x equals 20 minus y. X is this, so what goes inside of there? That's why I placed this parentheses, because inside of that parentheses, it's going to be going inside of there the 20 minus y, which is right here, the 20 minus the y. So this equation, which is the second equation, I'm still working with the second equation. I'm going to combine it with the first equation. You see here, the first equation says x equals 20 minus y. So instead of the x, I got to write 20 minus y. Goes right there. Plus 2y. You see, it's the same equation. It's the same thing. Except that instead of the x, I got to write 20 minus y, which is what I have right there, guys. That's it. Then after that, I can forget about the parentheses because there's nothing here to multiply the x. Or this parenthesis, so I just eliminate that parenthesis, and then I keep on going. I'm going to simplify. Now, the whole advantage of this is that there's no x's anymore on this equation, as you can see. Do you see an x here? Do you see an x? 1x, 2x, 3x's? There are no x's, guys. Only y's. So now we can proceed to solve this equation like a regular equation when you had just one unknown. So what do I have to do? I have here a negative y and a plus 2y. So 2y minus 1y, or negative 1 plus 2, is just going to be positive 1y, which is just y, positive y. Now this 20, I don't want it there. You know, of course, that thing, it's being added, so I got to pass it as a subtraction. So now I'm going to have 25 minus 20. When I come about to make this subtraction, I'm going to get y equals 5. So starting from here to over here, It's the same deal that you guys already know how to solve. It's the same, guys. This is pure algebra that you guys have mastered. You guys are good at it. You know this. You've done it before. You're set. Okay, now let's continue over here because this next step is going to be a little different, but it's pretty much the same idea as before. So now I get the answer. I got the answer for y, which is y equals 5. Right here. That's the answer. I put it over here again. Now what's going to be next? I got to go back to this other equation. Remember this equation? It says x equals 20 minus y. There it is, 20 minus y. And I highlighted the y. And instead of the y, I'm going to put a 5 right there. So instead of the y, I write the 5. And then we do 20 minus 5 equals 15. We're done. We're set. We got those two answers. 15 plus 5 equals 20. And if you do the double of y, which is right here, the double of y, what is double of y, guys? So y is 5. The double of y is going to be then 10. Why am I doing this? Because I want to verify that this is actually the answer. And 15 is x. So I put the 15 here, and we know the double of y is going to be 10 because y is 5. The double of 5 is 10. 15 plus 10 is in effect this number right there. 15 plus 10 is 25. So those are all the steps that you need to follow in order to get the x and the y from a system of equations. Alright guys, I know that this could be a little bit overwhelming. That's why I prepared some more exercises which I'm going to go through. Don't worry about it. It's pretty much the same deal. Maybe you won't be so stressed with this next example because now you have some idea of what's going to happen. Okay, so it's going to be, I got to do the same procedure. I got to take my first equation again, and I'm going to use the x. Later on, when you become more masterful, you can clear the y as well if you want, or whichever it's easier to clear for, but that's going to be later. Right now, let's just say that we got to first start with the x. So then the 10 is right there, and that y is being added. I don't want it there, so I got to subtract it. I got to pass it over there. So then that's why I have this next step. X equals 10 minus y. What's going to be next? We got this other equation right there. And then instead of the x, I got to write 10 minus y. So that's why instead of the x, I placed these parentheses because inside of this parentheses, I'm going to plug in this value right here. This 10 minus y. This value right there. Got it. It's right there, plugged in. Okay, so this is the second equation. All of this is the second equation, which is this one. Okay, so the first step, it's with the first equation, and the second step, it's with the second equation. Alrighty, we plugged in the value. What's going to be next? We remove those parentheses, and then we continue to do the y's with the y's. We're going to simplify them. Negative 1y plus 3y, how much is that? 3 minus 1, that's 2. That's why you have that result right there. Then we got this 10. That 10, I do not want it there, so it's being added. What do? I pass it as a subtraction right here. So now we have 14 minus 10. 14 minus 10 is going to be 4. But this 2y, it's still there. 2y, you see that 2y? It's the same as over here. What's going to be next? How do I clear the y if I have a 2 there? Well, we know that the 2 is multiplying the y. What is the opposite of multiplication? It's division. So you got to do 4 divided by 2 gives you 2. That's going to be the result for y. And then after that, you got to plug in the value of 2 into the previous equation that you had cleared for the x. So it's going to be 10 minus y. Instead of the y, I got to write 2. So then it's going to be, because why the 2? Because we found that y equals 2. So we get 10 minus y, it's going to be 10 minus 2 equals 8. So that's the other number. We got 8 and 2. Alrighty, so let's test the system. Let's test this system of equations. So x plus y equals 10. We found out that the x is going to be 8 and the y is going to be 2. If you do 2, or okay, I can go in this order if you prefer. 8 plus 2 gives us 10. So these two numbers, when you add them, it's actually 10, so that's great. How about the other one? X plus 3y equals 14. Instead of the x, I'm going to write the value for x, which is 8. It's going to be 8 plus, it says 3y. Triple of y is how much? It's 2. What's the triple of y? The triple of 2. Well, that's going to be 6. That's why I'm going to put a 6 right there. And then we do 8 plus 6. How much is that? It's 14, which is the same as this thing. We just checked it, and it's correct. If you want to do the check, go right ahead to see if you're doing it correctly. It's up to you if you want to do it. No problem if you don't, but it's good to do. I'm just showing you to make you understand better what's going on. What are those numbers that we got? Those are the numbers that can be plugged into this system of equations, and it gives you the number on the right. Alrighty, so let's do another one. Let's say that we have this other system of equations. We got this equation, two numbers that when you add them give you 30. But when you do x minus 6 times y equals negative 5. Guys, we're going to have some negative numbers here. We're going to be using negative numbers, so you got to remember how to do addition and multiplication and division with signed numbers. Guys, you got to master that. You got to have that already mastered. You got to know that, guys. Okay, so what do we do first? Remember, we got to start with the first equation, and then I got to clear for the x. So that y, I don't want it there. I want to pass it over here as a subtraction. That's why I have this first result. That's going to be my first step. And then my next step is going to be to focus on the second equation. And then wherever I see the x, instead of the x, I'm going to be writing this result, because this is the value of x, or the incomplete value of x. It's just a partial result, if we can call it like that. Alrighty, so instead of the x, I'm going to write 30 minus y. Okay, so here's the x. Instead of the x, I'm gonna erase that, and then I'm gonna put in above that a parentheses on the next step. And right here, it's gonna be where I place the 30 minus y. I'm gonna substitute it right there. I'm gonna plug it in. So that's why we have 30 minus y minus 6y equals negative 5. So as you can see, this negative 6y equals negative 5. It's right here. It's the same. But the only thing that changed is the value of x. Instead of the x, I plug in the value of 30 minus y. This thing right here. That's right there. Alrighty, now what's going to be next? I got to simplify the y's. Guys, you got to be very, very careful with the signs. If you have the same sign, even though they are negatives, you got to add them. Remember, when you have a negative 1 and a negative 6, oh, teacher, it's going to be negative 5. It's going to be positive 5. No, no, no. Both of them are negatives, so you got to add them, and it gives us negative 7. Okay? In the previous problems, you had different signs, so this is negative 1, and this is positive 3. Negative 1 plus positive 3, well, you got to subtract it, and that's why you got a 2 here. But on this other problem, you have two negatives. And those two negatives, you got to add them. You got to put them together because they are of the same team. Remember that analogy that I told you a while ago? Well, you got to apply it right here. You got to apply your sign number knowledge right here. So you get negative 1y plus negative 6y. It's negative 7y. Now we have this 30 right there. I don't want it. I don't want the 30. I'm going to pass it to the other side. And it's going to become a negative 30. And then negative 5 and negative 30, again, it's the same idea. When you have the same signs, you got to add them. And it gives us negative 35. What's going to be the next step? As you can see here, the y is being multiplied by the 7. What do you do next? That negative 7, you got to pass it as a division. So this negative 35 divided by negative 7 gives us this positive 5. Again, remember, operations with signed numbers. When you multiply, for example, negative 1 times negative 6, same signs, negative times negative gives us positive 6. But when you divide the same signs, for example here, negative 6, this is just an example, negative 6 divided by negative 1, it's going to be positive 6. It's the same as when you have multiplication. That's why when you divide negative 35 divided by negative 7, it will give you a positive 5. That's the result for y. What do you do next? Alrighty, well, we have the y, and here's the x. X equals 30 minus y. So it's going to be 30 minus 5, 30 minus y, and instead of the y, you see this is the same as this one, what you did on the first step. We go back to the first step, guys. Instead of the y, I gotta write this 5 right there. That's right there. Then we do 30 minus 5, that's going to be the 25. Okay, let's do the check. X equals 25. Okay, 25 plus 5. How much is that? X plus y. 25 plus 5 gives us 30. And then we have x, which is 25 minus 6 times y. How much is 6 times y? Let's do that. 6 times y. We found that y is 5, so 6 times 5, that's going to be 30. So 30, right there. How much is that going to be? 25 minus 30. Well, we have different signs. Remember that the sign that is the biggest will define the result. We have a negative 30 and a positive 25, so it's going to be positive and negative. We got to make a subtraction. 30 minus 25, that's going to be 5. And since this guy is bigger than the 25, the 30 is bigger than the 25, then this is going to be a negative 5. That's why this is the correct result. So we got it, guys. Hey, how about another one? Okay, this could be something that you can find on the website. It says solve the system of equations. X plus y equals 45. And then it says x minus 3y equals negative 11. So it says that you got to place your answer as x equals something, y equals something else. It has to be in that order. If you place the y first, it's not going to work. Why? Because that's the way it is, okay, guys? That's the way it is. Alright, let's continue. So you got to go in that order. Okay, let's do our steps just as before. First thing I do, I got to take my first equation, x plus y equals 45. That y, I do not want it there. I got to clear for the x. That y is being added, so it's going to pass as a subtraction right there. That's my first step. What's going to be next? Okay, I got to focus. Oh, you know what? This is a 3y. I don't know why I placed the 7. That's a y. Okay, so it says here x minus 3y equals negative 11. So we have x minus 3y equals negative 11. Okay, wherever you see the x, like this one, you got to substitute it with the 45 minus the y. Alrighty, 45 minus the y. There you go, right there. Right there. Okay, so instead of the x, there's a 45 minus y. There you go. There you go. Then you have the negative 3y, which is this. Negative 3y equals negative 11. We forget about the parentheses, and then we go on and simplify the y's. We got a negative 1y and a negative 3y. They are both of the same signs. They are both y's. We can simplify them as a negative 4y. Why is this? Because we got a negative 1 and a negative 3. They are both of the same sign, so it's going to be negative 4y. Now we have this 45. I don't want it there. So I gotta subtract here and subtract over here. It's just like passing the 45 on the other side as a negative 45. You gotta change the sign of that guy. And it becomes a negative 45. You gotta subtract 45 from this thing. So it's gonna be negative 11 and negative 45. Again, guys, remember how do you do addition with signed numbers or subtraction? Well, both of them are going to be negatives. They're both negatives, so you got to put them together, and it's going to be negative 56. Alrighty, guys, because they're both of the same sign. And then this negative 4 is multiplying the y. I don't want it to be here, so I'm going to pass it as a division. We divide 56 by 4, and it's going to be 14. But you got to watch out with the signs. Negative with negative, it gives us positive. So the answer here is going to be positive 14. If you place the answer as a negative 14, the result is going to be wrong, and the website will tell you, hey, you got to try that again. It's wrong. Got to do it again. So you got to be careful with the signs. If this would have been a negative, it would say, no, it's wrong. And it's not going to give you half a point. You got to be careful, guys. What's going to be next? I got to clear for the x. So I got the x right there, 45 minus y. So the y is 14. I got to do 45 minus 14, and that's going to be 31. Well, there you go. We got the answer. 31 plus 14 gives us 45. And if you do it also with this thing, it's going to give us negative 11. Alrighty, guys. So you got to be very careful with the signs. I bet many of the questions that you will have are going to be regarding this, but you got to remember how we did that addition and subtraction, multiplication and division with signs. You got to check your notes, guys. You got to remember how to do that. And you got to be also careful. Pretty much it's the same deal, guys. It's the same procedure. I know it may seem a little bit overwhelming, but I know that you guys can do it. And I'll be here to help you out, so don't worry. That's pretty much it, guys. You gotta have a great day, guys. You take care. Have a great day.